Hi there, welcome to video number 7 looking at the black square king air, and this one today is going to be looking at the glare shield at the top of the instrument panel. And there aren't that many functions on it, so we'll probably be able to work through these quite quickly. What I'm going to do is show you first of all what the normal operation looks like, and then we'll show you how I programmed that mostly, well, exclusively on the Stream Deck, I think. I need some power to show it working, so let's turn the battery on and we'll get things going. When you power up, it already puts on the master warning, master caution, so we can cancel those for the moment. And all this button does is cancel it. It's not a toggle, we can't turn it back on again. As soon as we press this, the master warning goes off, and it doesn't matter whether we press the pilot's or the co-pilot's one, it just cancels those warnings. Sort of, you're acknowledged that we've got the situation. So that's what they do. This one here, it tests the annunciators and various other lights, so we can check that everything's lighting up okay. And it only works when you hold your finger on it. As soon as you let go, it returns back to normal. Of course, these are latched as on, so we need to cancel those again. But that's a latch that we're going to have to sort of program to make that work. I just took you through the sort of firewall valves and extinguisher. If I zoom in a bit, these have got plastic safety covers that you have to flip up before you can access the button. And if I press this one here, this is the firewall valve, and it tells me the valve is closed, and it arms the extinguisher. Now we can cancel that and reopen the valve if we think we've cured the situation. But if there's a fire or something like that, and we press the extinguisher, that discharges it, and that's it. It's a one shot. We can't toggle that, we can't get it back again. We can turn the valve back on if we think we're safe to do that, but the extinguisher is now emptied. Okay, so that's how these work. And the same on the left hand side, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick restart. So on the behavior tool that we get from here, which we've been using to look for scripts and to find out variables, what I'm going to do is a quick reload. It's quicker than going out and restarting a flight. It just reloads the aircraft and resets all the values. So we're back where we started. Okay, let's start working through some of these buttons. So the first one is the annunciator test. That's nice and simple. On the Stream Deck, we use an event button, and we're going to write the value 1 to this variable. So when we press the key down, it writes a 1 into this annunciator test is down variable. And when we let go of the key, it writes a 0 into it. So that emulates us holding our finger on the button. And if I show you that in the Stream Deck, here's my annunciator test, and there it is, writing the value 1 into the variable, not repeating. We don't want it to do anything different when we're holding our finger down. And when we let go, write a 0 back into it to cancel the operation. And that's all there is in there. I can show you that in operation. Let's go back into the flight simulator. And again, we need the battery power, so we'll switch the battery back on. And I'll just hold my finger down on the key on the Stream Deck, and you can see it's lighting up the various annunciators. We can check all the bulbs are working and then let go of the button, and we're back out of that. So that's nice and simple, that one. Let's do with the firewall valve. Let's look at the covers first of all. Again, the covers are relatively simple. I'm going to use an on-off rather than an event button because I want to use an indicator on my Stream Deck so that it lights up and I know whether the valve cover is open or closed. But again, it's just writing a 1 here to open a cover and a 0 to close it. But we need to read a value so it knows whether to light the indicator on the Stream Deck up or not. And so we're reading that same variable. So on my Stream Deck, it looks like this for the cover. Do the firewall cover. that's us writing the 1 into that value, and it's got a second write event for the off version, so put a 0 into there, and down here we read that variable. And this is what it looks like in operation. If I get into the cockpit and show you also the indicator here, so I'm going to press the firewall cover here. You should see that open up, and the indicator is just underneath the word there, right, but I can see it on my Stream Deck. Just move that up a tiny bit. If we put a return character on the end, that might make it clearer. Okay, so that's it on open and close, and I've got an indicator that it's happened. And the right cover is very much the same. Again, on off button, writing on to the extinguisher cover right. So the right hand side is nice and easy. The left hand side took a while to work out what's going wrong with that, but it's actually a mistake by the programmers themselves, that they have mixed up the variables. So the firewall valve cover left actually activates the extinguisher cover, and the extinguisher variable actually controls the firewall cover. But other than that, you just use the on-off buttons, but with the opposite value in. So the left-hand firewall cover is using the extinguisher cover variable, and the cover is being operated by the firewall valve cover, but they work fine. It opens and closes the right one. Okay, the operation of the right firewall valve. There's a bit of a script behind it, so we're going to have to call a script. So I'm going to use a toggle button to call this script, because everything in here is kind of a toggling type event. So if I just quickly take you through the script, roughly what it's doing, we need to check that the cover's open. We can't access it unless the cover's open. So that's what this is about. We check that it's a 1, and if it is, we can go ahead and do the rest. We need to make sure that we're not in the middle of a fire test mode. So fire test mode 2 is the off mode. We've seen that in a previous video. There's a rotary knob that tests the valve. It tests the extinguisher on both sides. 2 is the center. So if that is if that's in the off mode, we can carry on. We need to check that we've actually got voltage from the battery. The battery is okay and hasn't got a fault. So that's why there's a not here. We haven't got a fault. And there are 2 ands because we're testing some conditions here. And if that's all okay, we can get on and toggle the firewall pushed, so we know that we've activated that, and we turn on this circuit here. We turn on circuit 13, which is what turns the light on to say that the firewall is, and I think it operates the firewall valve as well. And then it checks again, have we actually pushed this? And if we have, we are then going to switch the ignition off on the engine and light up the master warning light. So that's the script that we're going to use. And again, to have the indicator work on this button so that we can see whether this is on or off, we're going to read that firewall pushed right variable. Again, I can show you that in operation. Let's get back into here. So it's this firewall that we're going to do. That's going to call that script that I've written. So it's a K event that calls the script. The event value 1 doesn't really mean anything other than it confirms that we're going to run the script. It's not passing any value across in fact. But we are going to read that firewall pushed variable here. And if I go and show you that in operation, let's get into the cockpit. Firstly, we'll make sure the cover is closed. We'll close the cover. So if I try to press that button now, the right hand firewall doesn't operate at all. But if I open the cover, in fact I'll open it from the Stream Deck as well. So Stream Deck opens it, press the button, and you can see now it's closed the valve and it has armed the extinguisher. So that's how it works. It's working fine. The right extinguisher, again, it's an event button, because we don't want it to be on off. It's got to be an event because we can only deploy it once. So we call that script, it'll only work once. Firstly, we need to make sure that the cover over the extinguisher is open. And then exactly the same test we did before. Make sure we're not in test mode, make sure we've got a battery, make sure there's no fault. And then check that we've pushed the firewall button, and if we have, toggle it and switch on circuit number 16 and set off the master warning. So that's it, that's what it does. And it then cancels the engine on fire, because we would have detected that there's an engine on fire and you would have had that warning, so we can then cancel that warning because the engine won't be on fire anymore. So that's what the right hand script looks like. And again, I'll show it to you here. It's an event, calls the script, and nothing else happens there. There's nothing else to happen on it. So there's no indicator really to worry about. Let's get back into the cockpit and we'll actually fire the extinguisher. So we'll go right through the process, open the cover, arm the extinguisher, but I won't open the cover. I'll try and fire the extinguisher. Nothing happens. Open the cover, and that's it. We have discharged the extinguisher, so we can close the covers down. The left hand side is very much the same, but we must remember that they have messed up the covers. Everything else is the same, everything else is okay. So as far as the left hand firewall is concerned, we've got to do exactly the same kind of script as before, but remember they're using the wrong variable. So on the left hand firewall, we've got to check that the extinguisher cover is open, although it's the firewall cover that we're talking about. And then we'll check the test mode and the battery and do all the toggling that's needed here to switch things on. It's circuit number 1 we're switching on for this light. And again, we're going to be turning off the ignition for that engine and latch the master warning. And the left extinguisher, again, read that wrong variable, read the firewall cover variable to see if the extinguisher cover is open. And same sort of script we've seen before, checking that we're sort of okay to go. Check that the firewall has been pushed, that we've activated that, and then away we go on pressing the extinguisher, switching on circuit 15 this time, set off the warning and turn off the engine fire condition for engine number 1. Next thing for us is the master caution and warning. Kind of used to having things work in binary, 0s and 1s, off and on. For some reason, latches use 1 and 2 for the values. Basically, we want to turn the warning off, so we need to write a 2 to the master caution latching, or if it's the master warning we're doing, we're going to write a 2 to that, and the 2 is what switches it back, switches that caution off. So again, I can show you that here. The master warning is just an events button, and we're writing a 2 into the master warning latch. Again, no repeat for that. And a 2 for the master caution latch. And that's all that happens to turn those warning lights on and off. So again, I can show it to you working. If we get into the cockpit here, if I want to turn those off, if I press the master warning, that's turned that off for both sides. And if I want to turn the master caution off, that's written a 2 into that, and that's turned that latch off. And that's it really, that's everything that's on the Glareshield. I don't quite know which one we're going to do next, but I'll see you in whatever the next video happens to be.